Oh, SpongeBob, me boy. Let's do this one. Robot invasion.
All right.
30 minutes?
I admit it.
Lock
Some
in.
of my theories have
Holy
been
moly.
a little crazy lately. I mean, Goofy Goober, alien death cult theory, Pearl's dead mother theory. Let's maybe try and slow down a bit on this one.
I got some snacks. You got snacks?
There is a secret robot invasion happening in Bikini Bottom. Everywhere you look, robots have integrated themselves into society, kidnapping and replacing people with robot cyborgs, waiting for their chance to rise up and start the robot apocalypse. This is not a joke. I repeat, the robots are coming. The robots are coming.
This is the robot invasion theory.
One of my favorite episodes of
My fault, bro.
SpongeBob
I'm
is
just
the
talking.
season 3 episode Crabborg. SpongeBob watches a scary robot movie, then gets super paranoid about robots taking over, and even kidnaps Mr. Krabs.
What? You think I'm a robot?
We don't think, we know.
It's
Indeed.
a really funny episode,
I'm cold.
but I can't help but wonder if SpongeBob's fears might be a bit
I'm
more
on some late night
justified than
time.
we thought. In the episode SB129, we get our first glimpse of the future of Bikini Bottom, 2,000 years later.
Okay, what's going on here? Why is everything chrome?
Everything is chrome in the future.
We see a world covered in chrome, where everyone has been replaced with robotic people.
Why is everything chrome?
Bob, is that you?
SpongeBob? No.
My head's just gonna die already.
And
That's
this
wild.
isn't the only time we see a future full of robots. In the Season 7 episode Back to the Past, SpongeBob time travels to an alternate future where Man Ray takes over, and once again, people have been replaced by robots. And then, in the second SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water, there's a deleted scene where SpongeBob and Plankton go to the future and see this.
Oh,
We did it! I wonder when we are. Excuse me, sir. Do you know what year this is? Cyborgs?
yo. Why didn't they release this
Back
video?
in time. We went front in time.
And there's even foreshadowing in episodes that take place in the present. In the Krusty Krab training video, we hear this.
Well, luckily for you, Mr. Krabs' fear of robot overlords keeps the balance of technology in check.
And in Insecurity Guards, we can see an exhibit that clearly shows the evolution of SpongeBob eventually getting taken over by robots. Okay, so there seems to be a lot
So
of
what are you saying
evidence
to
for
me?
the future of Bikini Bottom being taken over by robots. But honestly, why
That don't
does
really prove
any of
nothing,
this
though.
matter? I mean, robots ruling the world is a pretty common depiction of the future in lots of different media.
You think it's gonna
And
happen?
Even if this is the canonical future
Yo,
of the show,
recently-
it's at the very least
Recently, I just saw a robot hitting them feet on our treadmill, yo. He was going 50 miles an hour, just trudging it. Like, I'm not beating, yo. Even if he were, say he were to catch me, bro. I can't even fight him. Like, it frustrated me because, like, how he get mega knees like that, bro? Like, I'm trying to get with the wind like that too, bro. Like,
in the future. It's not like we can.
if they start
already
taking
see
over,
this
they better
robot
like
invasion
choose like a
happening
select few to
in
teach them their
Bikini
ways, bro.
Bottom,
Or like start
right?
making cyborg niggas.
Here's
You know what I'm saying?
an interesting question.
I'm trying to get some
about SpongeBob
Cybertronics.
that's always bothered me. Why are there so many robots in the show?
trying to be with the wind.
And I'm not talking about Sandy or Plankton's inventions. It makes sense for them to have robots since they're both genius inventors. But
Facts.
why do hospitals and office buildings and amusement parks and Weenie Hut Juniors and many, many more places have such advanced robots? I mean, let's ignore the fact that they're underwater and robots wouldn't really make sense down here.
True.
Bikini Bottom isn't like a super advanced society, right? You wouldn't
No.
really say that they have much
But
futuristic.
they are bioreact. The reason why they can talk and do all these weird stuff is because they let off a nuclear bomb. Feel me?
Technology,
30-minute video.
except when it comes to robots.
And the radiation
Like, why?
got into the water,
And
so now
what's
they're all
even
weird and
stranger
stuff.
is that there are many
I'm telling you the truth,
instances
yo.
where these robots suddenly turn evil. The first time I really started to notice this was in the season 7 episode Tunnel of Glove. SpongeBob and Pearl get trapped in a Glove World boat ride that's
This nigga just
full
be
of
sitting in his room
animatronics.
researching
Patrick tries to
SpongeBob.
set
That's so
them free by
fire.
breaking into the control room, but accidentally causes all the animatronics to suddenly turn evil and attack SpongeBob. Now, this is a pretty basic cartoon trope. Someone accidentally breaks the controls, then the robot malfunctions and turns evil. This isn't really all that weird for SpongeBob. Except, what's strange about this is that Patrick doesn't break any controls. He hits a button labeled animatronic override, and that's what causes the robots to turn evil.
I'll just gingerly lean on this wall.
But did he do that on purpose or on accident though? He be acting like he's stupid. I'm telling you.
They aren't malfunctioning. The robots were intentionally designed to have a button that makes them attack people, but why? Then, in the episode Good Neighbors, Squidward discovers a flyer for a home security system that's suspiciously free despite it clearly being very advanced. After he sets it up, his house suddenly grows arms and legs and starts destroying Bikini Bottom.
Yo. Hit the feet.
Squidward's house is destroying the neighborhood.
Now, to be fair, this was a malfunction caused by SpongeBob, but why would a simple home security system have giant arms and legs? I mean, the malfunction didn't create them, they were clearly already installed.
And
they eventually do
red.
manage to stop the house, but what's really creepy about this is that we can still see signs of Squidward's house being sentient after this episode. Then, in the season 11 episode Krusty Cleaners, SpongeBob and Patrick go to an office building and encounter a trash cleaning robot. The robot immediately attacks them for causing a mess.
No! My rump is roasting!
But this time, there's no malfunction that causes this. It's working exactly as intended. Not only does the trash robot have a buzzsaw and a literal laser cannon, but it also turns all of the nearby machines into
that's the Terminator
robots to help hunt down SpongeBob and Patrick. So, where are all these places getting these super advanced robots? And more importantly, why are they all being programmed to suddenly turn evil? This is a question that stumped me for a while. Until I watched the season 11 episode, My Leg. This is the episode where
in order for a takeover to happen,
there was an actual
a fish got to be behind it,
here, and not just cartoon antics.
Ooh.
It's time we finally find out who is behind.
How's that nigga keep getting his fish legs all twisted and turned, and he still keep coming back, yo? I wouldn't even come out the house if I was him. Every episode I'm getting hurt like that. Yo, the world out to get me at that point. I'm saying this all, nigga. This nigga want me to hear about his real life again. Watch out. Let's get to it. I'm here to see
the
SpongeBob,
episode,
my
My
nigga. You're doing a great
Leg,
job,
focuses
though.
on the reoccurring gag of the fish always injuring his leg throughout the show.
My leg!
Ooh.
My leg!
Look at him.
My leg!
At one point in the episode, he goes to a hospital and meets a robot that works there. It's just a small throwaway gag. The robot never turns evil or does anything strange.
Don't take my leg! Don't take my leg!
But there's something awfully familiar about the robot's design. Let's go all the way back to the season 3 episode Plankton's Army, which opens with Plankton trying to steal the Krabby Patty's secret formula with a robot disguise.
You never know what trick he'll use to steal me secret Krabby Patty formula.
What a quaint restaurant. I think I will sample their wares.
These
Is
robots
Plankton the one that's trying to
have
take over?
Any similarity, right down to the same tie. Okay, but maybe we could just chalk this up to the showrunners being lazy and reusing assets. But SpongeBob has always had a pretty diverse amount of robot designs throughout the show. And it's not like this is a direct copy-paste either. They went to the effort to redesign the face and colors, but it was still clearly based on Plankton's robot. So here's my theory. Plankton has built many robots to try and steal the Krabby Patty secret formula, but I think after he fails to do so, he doesn't just throw them away. He redesigns the robots and then gives them to different businesses in Bikini Bottom with the intention to one day use them to take over the world once he has enough in place. I mean, we know what Plankton really wants isn't the secret formula, it's to rule the world.
I will rule the world!
And there's even the video game, Battle for Bikini Bottom, where Plankton tried to take over using an army of robots. So, this theory doesn't seem too far-fetched for Plankton's character, but we're gonna need a lot more evidence if we're gonna prove he's the one behind all the robots in Bikini Bottom. So, let's get started. In the season 3 episode, No Weenies Allowed, we see a robot working at a place called Weenie Hut Juniors.
Would you care for another
Weenie Hut Jr. is my
Cola
type of
with a
space.
lemon twist?
I'm a real weenie.
And while it doesn't resemble any of the robots we've seen Plankton make, does that voice sound familiar to you?
Would you
I wish
care
I
for
would be
another
forced to go over to
Cola
them
with a
sweaty,
lemon
musty,
twist? What a
at the
quaint
Salty
restaurant.
Splatoon.
I think I will sample their wares.
Not tough for
And
you.
again, it's
Not
not
tough
like
at all,
this is
my
the
nigga.
default robot voice we hear.
Heard y'all
in
niggas eat
SpongeBob.
nails for
There are
breakfast.
many different voices
With
the show
no
has used
milk,
for
my
robot
nigga.
characters.
What a quaint restaurant.
Greetings, I am Robo 2.1. No threat detected.
This is very uncomfortable.
Please, my father!
alone!
But here, they specifically recreated the voice from Plankton's robot. Let's go back to Glove World for a second. In the
Fire
control
episode.
room, we see a machine on the wall
Love
that
Glove
looks
World.
shockingly like SpongeBob. So much so that Patrick even mistakes him for it. We know Plankton has
Whoa.
built a SpongeBob robot before in Welcome to the Chum Bucket. Maybe he repurposed it here inside of Glove World. In Krusty Cleaners, the trash robot also has a striking resemblance to Plankton's robot in the Season 9 episode
Wow.
An Urchin. In the Season 5 episode, The Patty Gadget, Squidward tries to get SpongeBob fired by replacing him with a machine that creates Krabby Patties for free. But it's never explained where Squidward got this machine. Now, it doesn't resemble anything we've seen
I wonder if the
Plankton
actual
make,
creators,
but
like,
a
be
staple
watching this
in a
nigga
lot of
videos
Plankton's
and be like,
inventions
oh,
is
yeah,
having them
he knows.
resemble his likeness, especially with one eye in the middle, and that's exactly what we see with the Patty Gadget. And the patties it makes are terrible, which would make sense for something Plankton made. In the episode All That Glitters, SpongeBob buys a super advanced talking spatula.
Le Spatula 3000.
This,
at your
this
service.
episode was
But
freaky.
in the episode Evil
He was
Spatula,
damn near
we
ready
find
to
out Plankton has a whole
have
collection
have
of
sexual
advanced
intercourse with that
spatulas
spatula.
just like this one, and even tries to trick SpongeBob into taking a talking spatula. It seems like no matter where we turn, we can find a connection between the technology in Bikini Bottom and Plankton. But if you remember in those glimpses of the future, the world isn't just ruled by robots. They've actually replaced all the existing citizens with robot copies.
I am SpongeTron.
And believe it or not, this is also something we can already see happening in Bikini Bottom today. Get ready to see how far this robot invasion has really gone.
Man, stop beating around the bush, bro. Let's get to it. Oh my gosh, this nigga. I'm not trying to hear that, bro. Let's get to it. Don't make me
Now,
bust a
we
move
know
in it.
Plankton has
Dog.
tried to turn people into robots before.
SpongeBob, come in here. Or should I say Robot Bob?
But he gave up after SpongeBob was too annoying.
You've got to take that yellow nightmare back. It's not worth it.
But I don't think this was his only attempt. In the Season 11 episode, The Checkup, SpongeBob and Squidward are trying to give Mr. Krabs a health checkup by testing his pinching reflexes.
Okay, I brought plenty of things for Mr. Krabs to pinch. A pinch of salt.
And one of the things they have him pinch is a baby.
A baby's cheek.
What?
Lucky that was a robot baby.
Some random baby just turned out to be a robot, and it's never explained why. That's weird even for
Why would you put the
SpongeBob,
baby
but
in
things
harm's
get
way
even
like that?
more
Chopped his
interesting
head
when we go
off.
back to Season 9 in the episode Plankton's Pet, where Plankton tries to steal a Krabby Patty using the exact same purple baby as a robot disguise.
That
Yo!
fiend. I can't believe this is working.
And we're not even done yet. If we go even further back to the Season
Little
5
poopy bottom
episode
baby.
Goo Goo Gas, we can actually see the exact moment where Plankton gets the idea to turn the baby into a robot.
Why, you're so tiny and helpless. I
Plankton
could
is
use formula whenever
devious.
I wanted to, and you couldn't do a thing about it.
That's it. Finally,
Matter of fact, take
victory
that
will be
baby from that
mine.
mom,
Now,
yo.
in the episode, it's implied that
She don't
this
like
is
her
just him
kid.
getting the idea to turn everyone into babies to steal the formula. But isn't it crazy how it also perfectly lines up with the purple baby fish suddenly turning into a robot in future episodes? Now, there's another fish who's always been very suspicious to me. The strangely realistic news anchor fish.
Facts.
All of Bikini Bottom is abuzz over
How's he-
the identity
how's he
of a
talking? He not
mysterious
radiated like
blind
everybody
man
else,
who
though.
helps people. Who knows
Wait, and
what superhero act of courage he'll astound us with next?
In a show full of cartoon characters, why is he the only
Do you like him or
realistic one? In fact, I made a
Duxdale
whole
Home
theory
and Dumb
about
It?
how
Owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome.
evolved cartoony fish that can talk.
What's that nigga from Fairly Odd Parents? The news anchor?
This is Chet You Betcha with big news.
I don't know, nigga.
And primitive realistic fish who can't. But as many people have pointed out, the one exception to this is
Fair
the
Odd Parents got a news
realistic
anchor, don't it? I don't
fish.
know.
Well, if
Never
you
mind.
ask me, he looks a lot like one of those animatronic singing fish you buy in a gift shop. Especially
Oh.
the way he mechanically moves his mouth and how we only ever see one side of him. So, already a pretty strong indication that he might be a robot, but there's also something familiar about his voice.
What kind of cruel, careless, evil person? I'll dismiss all the seediest.
Yo. Bro.
Brow dives in town.
That's
This
right,
nigga Plankton
he has
is a
the
mastermind.
Same voice as Plankton. And if you're gonna take over the world, then you're definitely gonna want to control the media. But how exactly is Plankton replacing these people with robots? Well, I think the Season 10 episode Whirly Brains gives us an important clue. In this episode, suddenly a new toy becomes
this that new
extremely
episode.
popular in Bikini Bikini Bottom, the Whirly Brain.
I missed this one.
Flip your lid.
Sometimes I got so weird after this, yo. In these times.
Yeah, it's a weird episode. So
Strange.
people are actually voluntarily attaching devices to their brains and ripping them out of their bodies, and no
Nightmare.
one thinks that this is suspicious. If you ask me, this seems like the perfect way to replace someone with a robot. Remember, in Welcome to the Chum Bucket, Plankton told us how he turns people into robots.
I'll be forced to remove your brain and implant it in my robot chef.
By removing their brains. But is there any proof that he's the one behind the Whirly Brain toys? Let's take a look at the new SpongeBob prequel, The Patrick Star Show. Every once in a while, the show cuts to this stop-motion parody of Frankenstein with Plankton, and he actually uses Whirly Brains to conduct his experiments. It's not super clear how this all connects to the main show. I mean, we do see Patrick interact with the stop-motion Plankton at some point, so they're at least in the same universe, but regardless, it's still a solid connection. We see another head-based gadget in the season 11 episode Bottle Burglars, an invisible helmet being advertised in a magazine for only 99 cents. And in the same episode, we see Plankton using the exact same helmet.
Crabs will never see me coming in Rizzo's.
Now, maybe this is just implying that he bought the helmet from the magazine, but that doesn't really line up with what we know about Plankton as an inventor. Plus, I can't see them selling a tiny version of the helmet just for Plankton. Seems a lot more likely that Plankton created the helmet and is selling them to the people of Bikini Bottom, possibly as a way to create more robots. Alright, so
Now I'm hearing all this.
A pretty clear
It makes
idea
sense because
of how Plankton
why does
plans on
Plankton
turning
want
the
Krabby
citizens
Patty
of
so
Bikini
much?
Bottom into robots. But there is one
He got all
more
these talents,
character
you know what
that
I'm
I
saying?
believe has already been secretly assimilated
Just
into
blow
a
the Krusty
robot.
Krab up.
And it's not some random background character either. It's one of the main characters in SpongeBob SquarePants.
Uh-oh.
This final part of the robot invasion theory is going to completely change the way you look at the entire show. Are you ready? Because this is the Patrick Star theory.
Uh-oh. Oh my god, bro. Watch out. Now that I keep seeing more price, I'm starting to get intrigued. What he got going on in his personal life? He got demons in
Now,
his house.
I fully realize saying Patrick is a robot is a very bold claim, but hold your judgments till the end. By far, the most requested theory I get on this channel is to cover Patrick's star, and more specifically, his inconsistent intelligence.
You just talked
Throughout
about
the
this.
entire show, there are these little moments where Patrick suddenly
Nigga,
says
I'm on
something
it.
smart.
I'm a bit more complicated than that. The inner
inner
machinations of my mind are an enigma.
I'm on that,
And
nigga.
immediately goes back
I'm
to
on
being
that.
dumb.
I'm a real fan.
There's so many examples of this happening that many people have actually made their own theories about it. Is Patrick secretly a genius and just pretending to be dumb? Does he have a secret split personality?
I diagnosed Patrick Star with trauma-induced anxiety triggered spontaneously duplicative multi-intellectual DID with additional paranoid schizophrenic delusions of a mental multiverse.
Maybe, but I've come to a bit of a different conclusion.
Too many
Have you ever
smart nigga
noticed
words.
how
Watch
every
out.
time we see Patrick try to think, there's either sparks or smoke coming out of his head?
Patrick speaking again.
And almost every time we see inside of Patrick's head, it's represented with gears or
Yo.
some kind of machinery.
I see where he's going with this. Oh, Patrick. I thought you get a hernia. Stop straining so much.
Now, we're supposed to assume that this
That
is just a
episode's nasty,
cartoony
too.
way to visualize thought, but what's
Him in the
strange
mirror.
is just how consistent they are with it. And even stranger, none of the other characters' thoughts are visualized this way.
Just got an order from the boss. Dump everything that isn't about fine dining. Squidward's Happy Gland is forced to take shelter in the recesses of his mind.
It's only Patrick who seems to have this robotic association.
Nigga, Happy
And
Gland
just look at
small
how
as hell.
detailed they are with
Yo.
it. While Patrick's head is sparking in Rule of Dumb, if you look closely, you can see a spring pop out of him, and even a hole left behind by the spring. That is such a small detail that no one would notice unless you were going frame by frame. And if this is just supposed to be a metaphor inside of Patrick's head, how come SpongeBob clearly sees the spring come out? Okay, so let's entertain the idea for a moment that Patrick might be some sort of robot. How would he have gotten converted, and why does this cause him to
If he's a
randomly
robot, why he's so
become smart
thick
every
towards
once
the
in a
bottom?
while?
Like, what's the
I looked at
functionality
all the scenes
towards
where
that? You know
Patrick
what I'm saying?
suddenly does something smart, and I noticed a bit of a pattern. There are two different types of these moments. There are times when
Don't look at me
think
crazy
he's
because I just
saying
called him
something
thick, bro. I'm just pointing out the obvious, man.
We're not cavemen.
That's right.
We have technology.
But then it's revealed he's not actually being smart.
He be trying to cover it up,
This
yo.
doesn't contradict his character at all. Patrick is someone who doesn't see himself as dumb, so there's lots of times when he tries to be smart, but he fails.
Dumb people are always blissfully unaware of how dumb they really are.
But there are also moments where he actually does do something undeniably smart.
Wait a minute, Squidward.
Squidward got a little lean gut.
We could filter the
You pulling up?
CO2 through our ballast tanks, refire the engines, and ride the shockwave out of here.
Wow.
He's right.
But then he immediately acts oblivious to the fact that he was being smart.
We're going through with your plan.
You ain't fooling me no more, Patrick.
What plan?
So, I kept track of these two different types of moments, and it seems like after season 3 is when he suddenly switches from pretending to be smart to actually having these smart moments. And this switch perfectly lines up with the season 4 episode, Patrick's Smarty Pants. In this episode, Patrick falls off a cliff and gets his head knocked off. SpongeBob accidentally replaces his head with some brain coral, which makes him become a genius.
I find all this laughter to be highly illogical.
In the end, they switch back to his normal head and Patrick goes back to his usual stupid self. But take a closer look at the scene when he first puts on the brain coral.
Here's your head.
It plugs in.
Now, many people
This
have
nigga's
interpreted
a
these
mech-
gears with cobwebs as a metaphor
this
for Patrick's brain never
Friday-
being used until now.
What's that
But these
chick-
gears are not from Patrick's brain. His brain came off during the
Fears
fall,
of Friday-
which means these gears
Freddy's-
are entirely from
As
the
mech-
brain
you know what I'm saying.
coral. And at the end of the episode, when they remove the brain coral, we can still see
What
the
is that?
electrical plug attached
F and
to
AF?
it. We are no longer
Friday's
seeing a
night at
metaphorical
Freddy's? There you
representation
go.
inside of someone's head. We are seeing this plug from an outside perspective. The brain coral is just like the Whirly Brains, a robotic device that plugs into your brain to control
Matter of
you.
fact, take my
Isn't it
brain.
convenient that
I
Patrick
didn't even have
just
the stroke trying to get
happened
that joint
land
up.
next to a pile of coral that looked identical to his head? Is it possible that Plankton saw this as an opportunity to add another victim to his robot invasion? But after Patrick removed it, he went back to normal, right? He completely stopped Plankton's plan, right? Well, one season later, in the episode Sing a Song of Patrick, Patrick attempts to use his brain again, and we see the exact same gears inside of his head.
He needs to stop straining so much. You're not supposed to push when you're on the toilet,
The
yo.
creators went out of their way to
Hand on the
recreate
toilet.
the exact placement of all the
Just let that
gears
joint
from
come
the
out.
brain coral.
If it
Which
don't come out,
means
come
the
back
head
later.
Patrick put on at the end of Patrick's Smarty Pants was not his head. It was another piece
Little
of
sipping
robotic
tricks.
brain coral.
Gotta be
But it
squeezing
seems
it.
like
Oh.
for whatever reason, this brain coral isn't as effective as the first one, and he's only able to have rare moments of genius. In the season 12 episode SpongeBob's Big Birthday Blowout, Patrick has another one of his smart moments.
Oh, would you look at the hour? It's almost time for me to take SpongeBob on that tour so you guys can decorate
You
his
see what he
house.
got on his wrist. Big AP.
But this moment in particular is very interesting because Plankton is actually there to witness it. And take a guess how Plankton responds to him.
I guess even a broken moron can be right once a day.
He calls Patrick a broken moron because he knows Patrick is a broken one of his experiments. And if you
Ooh.
still don't believe me, in the newest episode of season 13, The Goofy Scoopers, we get this scene.
This stinks. I wanted to go backstage for an autograph.
Plankton
Ugh.
was here.
This nigga-
Yes, he certainly was.
How many layers he got to his...
Plankton
I know a couple niggas that got a couple of layers, bro. I'm related to one.
was
I think I'm gonna get some
here.
layers when I get
yes,
older, too.
he
I ain't gonna lie.
certainly was. And that
How many
is
folds
the
you think I can
robot
get- I can cop?
invasion theory.
2, 3?
Thank you very much. Okay, robot invasion theory done. Hey, we just passed 500,000 subscribers. Thank you guys
That's
so
fire. Fire theory.
much. This is honestly
Great vid. SpongeBob guy. Ah. Glorious.